The words cut through the classroom like a blade, sharp and deliberate, designed to wound. Marcus, let's be realistic here. Dreams are wonderful, but they need to be grounded in reality. Someone with your background should focus on more practical goals. Trade school maybe. A nice, steady job. Not everyone is meant for college, and certainly not everyone is meant to change the world. Mrs. Patricia Holloway stands at the front of her 8th grade English class, arms crossed, a thin smile playing at her lips as she watches the 13-year-old boy absorb her assessment of his future. Around him, 32 students shift uncomfortably in their seats, some looking away, others watching with the morbid fascination of witnesses to a slow-motion collision they cannot prevent. Marcus Thompson sits perfectly still. His hands rest flat on his desk, fingers splayed against the worn wood surface that bears the carved initials of students who came before him, students who probably heard similar words, students whose names no one remembers now. He doesn't cry, he doesn't argue. He simply looks at Mrs. Holloway with eyes far older than 13. Eyes that have already learned the particular sting of being dismissed before he's even begun. What Mrs. Holloway doesn't know, what she hasn't bothered to learn in the 3 months Marcus has been in her class, is that those hands resting so still on that desk have already built a working computer from salvaged parts. She doesn't know that the unrealistic dream he'd just shared was to study biomedical engineering and develop affordable prosthetics for children who've lost limbs. She doesn't know that he'd been inspired by watching his 7-year-old sister struggle with a prosthetic leg that costs more than their mother makes in a year, a prosthetic that doesn't grow with her body, that causes pain, that marks her as different in ways that break Marcus's heart daily. She doesn't know any of this because she never asked. 4 years earlier, in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and fear, a man named James Thompson held his son's hand and made him promise something. "Marcus, listen to me." James's voice was already growing thin, cancer stealing words the same way it was stealing everything else. "They're going to try to put you in a box. People who don't know you, people who think they understand what you're capable of just by looking at you. They'll tell you to be realistic. They'll tell you to dream smaller." 9-year-old Marcus had tears streaming down his face, but he didn't look away from his father's eyes. He'd been raised to face hard things head on. "Promise me you won't listen to them. Promise me you'll dream so big it scares people. Promise me you'll prove every single one of them wrong." "I promise, Dad." James Thompson died 11 days later. He left behind a wife, Denise, working double shifts as a nurse's aide at a facility that didn't offer health insurance. He left behind a daughter, Keisha, who would lose her leg to bone cancer 6 months after losing her father, as if the universe hadn't taken enough from this family already. And he left behind a son who had made a promise he intended to keep, no matter how many Mrs. Holloways stood in his way. But promises made to dying fathers don't pay bills. They don't fix broken prosthetics. They don't silence the voices of people who look at a black boy from the east side and see only statistics, only probability, only the comfortable certainty of their own low expectations. Back in that classroom, on that October afternoon in 2015, Marcus finally speaks. His voice is quiet, steady, absolutely devoid of the emotion churning beneath his surface. "May I be excused, Mrs. Holloway?" She waves a dismissive hand. "Certainly. Perhaps some time to think about more appropriate goals would do you good." He gathers his things, a worn backpack held together with duct tape and determination, a notebook filled with diagrams and equations that would make most high school seniors struggle, a library book on biomedical innovation that he's reading for the 3rd time. He walks to the door with perfect posture, the way his mother taught him, head high, shoulders back, never let them see you break. At the door, he pauses, turns, looks directly at Mrs. Holloway with an expression she can't quite read. "My father died when I was 9. He was an engineer. He told me to dream big enough to scare people." A pause. "I think I'm doing that." Then he walks out, leaving silence behind him like a held breath. In the back of the classroom, a girl named Sarah Chen has her phone in her lap, recording. She doesn't know why she started filming. Something about the cruelty in Mrs. Holloway's tone, something about the way Marcus sat so still while his dreams were being publicly dismantled. She'll hold on to this video for 9 years, never sharing it, never forgetting it, waiting. Marcus doesn't go home after leaving that classroom. He can't face his mother's questions, can't risk letting her see the cracks in his armor. Instead, he walks 3 miles to the public library, the one place in this city that has never made him feel less than. The librarian, an elderly woman named Mrs. Patterson, who has watched him grow from a grief-stricken 9-year-old into a quietly brilliant teenager, takes one look at his face and doesn't ask questions. She simply points him toward his usual table in the back corner, the one near the window where the afternoon light makes reading easier, and brings him a cup of hot chocolate from her personal thermos. "Bad day?" she asks, setting down the cup. "Someone told me my dreams are too big." Mrs. Patterson laughs, a warm sound that feels like safety. "Then you're dreaming the right size, Marcus. Only small people are threatened by big dreams." He stays until the library closes at 8 p.m., working through physics problems that won't appear in his curriculum for another 4 years, sketching prosthetic designs in his notebook, reading research papers he downloads from academic databases using the library's free computer access. When he finally walks home through streets that most people in his city would never dare walk at night, he's rebuilt something inside himself. The wall that protects his promise to his father is higher now, reinforced with determination. Mrs. Holloway's words didn't break him. They made him stronger. And somewhere deep in his 13-year-old mind, a counter begins ticking. Someday, he decides, she will see exactly how wrong she was. He just doesn't know it will take 9 years. The years that follow aren't kind, but Marcus was never promised kindness. He was promised opportunity by a father who believed in him, by a mother who works herself to exhaustion to keep a roof over their heads, by a sister whose borrowed prosthetic leg serves as daily reminder of why his work matters. Freshman year of high school, he tests into the advanced STEM program despite a guidance counselor who tries to redirect him toward more suitable options. "You might be more comfortable with your own kind," she says, not quite meeting his eyes. The regular track has plenty of opportunities. He files a formal complaint, presents his test scores, and is admitted 3 weeks late. He finishes the year at the top of his class. Sophomore year, he applies for a summer research internship at the local university's biomedical engineering department. The interviewer, a professor named Dr. Catherine Mills, later admits she almost rejected his application without reading it. "A sophomore from that neighborhood? I assumed it was some diversity quota application. Shows what assumptions are worth." She becomes his mentor, his advocate, his fiercest defender. Under her guidance, he publishes his first peer-reviewed paper at 16, a theoretical framework for cost-effective pediatric prosthetics using 3D printing technology. It's cited 47 times in its first year. Junior year brings a scholarship offer from MIT, full ride, all expenses starting the following fall. But there's a problem. His mother's health is failing. Years of double shifts have destroyed her back, her knees, her spirit. Keisha is 15 now, still using a prosthetic that causes chronic pain, still waiting for a device that fits properly. He can't leave them. He turns down MIT, tells no one. Applies to the state university instead, knowing their biomedical program is good, but not MIT good, knowing he's trading his optimal future for his family's immediate needs. Dr. Mills is furious when she finds out. "You're sacrificing everything." But Marcus understands something she doesn't. Some dreams require detours. Some promises are bigger than any single path. State University gives him their best scholarship anyway. He commutes from home, caring for his mother between classes, working weekends at a prosthetics clinic that lets him learn while he earns. He graduates in 3 years instead of 4, summa cum laude, with a 4.0 GPA and a patent pending on a prosthetic knee joint that costs 90% less than market alternatives. By the time he's 22, he has job offers from 6 major biomedical companies. He turns them all down. Instead, he takes a position with a nonprofit that provides prosthetics to children in developing countries, because that was always the point. Not money, not prestige, impact. The nonprofit's work catches media attention. A documentary crew follows their team to Uganda, filming as Marcus fits a 7-year-old girl named Grace with a prosthetic arm that she helped design herself. The footage goes viral. Suddenly, Marcus Thompson is everywhere. News programs, magazine covers, speaking invitations from conferences that once would have rejected his application. He says yes to one speaking engagement, Just one. His hometown high school graduation ceremony, where the class of 2024 is receiving their diplomas. 9 years after Mrs. Patricia Holloway told him his dreams were too big. The invitation comes from the principal, not knowing the history, simply proud that a distinguished alumnus has agreed to give the commencement address. What the principal doesn't realize is that Sarah Chen, now Sarah Chen, MD, completing her residency at Johns Hopkins, has been in contact with Marcus for years. She's kept that video from 8th grade, waiting for the right moment. And when Marcus's name appeared in national headlines, she knew the moment had finally arrived. She sent him the video 1 week ago. He watched it once, twice, 17 times. Not because he needed reminding of what Mrs. Holloway said. He remembers every word, but he needed to see his 13-year-old self sitting so still while his dreams were being publicly executed, needed to remember the exact texture of that moment to understand just how far he has come. Graduation day dawns hot and clear. June in Ohio means humidity that makes formal clothes cling uncomfortably, sun that makes sitting on metal bleachers an exercise in endurance. 2,000 people pack the football stadium, graduates in blue caps and gowns, families with homemade signs and air horns, administrators sweating through their suits, and one guest speaker who hasn't slept in 36 hours, not because of nerves, but because he was on a video call with a 12-year-old girl in Cambodia who just received her first functional prosthetic hand. Marcus stands backstage, watching the ceremony through a gap in the curtains. He's 22 years old but looks younger, something about the way he moves, the quiet energy he carries. He's wearing a gray suit his mother ironed 3 times this morning, a purple tie that belonged to his father, and shoes that cost more than the monthly rent on his childhood apartment. The shoes were a gift from Dr. Mills, who insisted that if he was going to inspire the next generation, he should at least look like he'd made it. He doesn't feel like he's made it. He feels like he's just beginning. The principal approaches, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Thompson, we're ready for you. You'll follow the senior class president, about 8 minutes." Marcus nods. Then casually, "Is Mrs. Holloway here today? Patricia Holloway? She taught 8th grade English when I was a student." The principal consults his list. Holloway. Yes, actually. She retired 3 years ago, but always attends graduation. She's in section C, I believe, row 12. Do you want me to point her out? No, thank you. I'll find her. He does find her, because he's been scanning section C since he arrived. She's older now, gray hair where there was once brown, deeper lines around a mouth that still turns down at the corners. She's sitting with other retired teachers, fanning herself with the graduation program, looking bored by the proceedings she's witnessed dozens of times before. She doesn't recognize the name Marcus Thompson when it's announced. Why would she? He was one of hundreds of students who passed through her classroom, one of dozens she'd redirected toward realistic expectations, one of countless young people whose futures she'd tried to shrink to match her own limitations. She probably doesn't remember the October afternoon in 2015, doesn't remember the specific words she used, doesn't remember the 13-year-old boy who walked out of her room with his dignity intact and his dreams unchanged. She's about to remember. Marcus takes the stage. The applause is polite, standard for a guest speaker at a graduation ceremony. Some students are on their phones, some parents are checking the time. This is the obligatory part of the ceremony, the part before the names are called, before the caps are thrown, before the real celebration begins. Marcus adjusts the microphone, looks out at the crowd, finds section C, row 12, and begins. 9 years ago, I sat in a classroom in this district and shared my dream with my English teacher. His voice is calm, amplified by the stadium speakers, reaching every corner of the bleachers. I told her I wanted to study biomedical engineering. I wanted to develop prosthetics that children around the world could afford. I wanted to change lives. A slight stirring in the audience. The tone of his voice has shifted to something that sounds like a story is coming, and people instinctively lean forward. She told me my dreams were too big. He pauses, letting the words settle. She said someone with my background should be more realistic. She suggested trade school. She implied, without quite saying it, that boys like me, black boys from the East Side, weren't meant for dreams that size. Now the silence is different, charged. Parents exchange glances. Students put down their phones. In section C, row 12, a retired English teacher has stopped fanning herself. I want to be clear about something. I'm not here for revenge. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here because that moment, that exact moment, when an adult who was supposed to nurture my potential instead tried to shrink it, that moment shaped everything that came after. And I think every single person in these bleachers, every graduate sitting in those seats, every teacher and parent and administrator needs to understand something about moments like that. He takes a breath. His hands aren't shaking. 9 years of waiting have burned away any nervousness. They can go two ways. They can break you, make you believe that the limits others see are real, or they can forge you into something those people never imagined possible. He reaches into his jacket pocket, removes a photograph. This is Grace. She's 7 years old. She lives in a village in northern Uganda that doesn't have reliable electricity, running water, or paved roads. 6 months ago, she had no right arm. Today, she has a prosthetic that she helped design herself, that costs less than a pair of sneakers, that will grow with her body, that she chose the color of because she wanted purple with silver stars. The photograph appears on the jumbo screens flanking the stage. A small girl with a brilliant smile, her purple prosthetic arm raised in triumph. The crowd makes a collective sound, something between surprise and emotion. This is what too big dreams look like when you refuse to let anyone shrink them. In section C, row 12, Patricia Holloway is gripping her purse with both hands. Her face has gone pale beneath her summer tan. She's beginning to remember. But here's what I really want to talk about today. Marcus's voice shifts, becomes something warmer. I want to talk about the Mrs. Pattersons, the Dr. Mills, the people who looked at the same kid and saw something different. He describes the librarian who brought hot chocolate without being asked, the professor who almost rejected his application but then became his fiercest advocate, the mother who worked double shifts and never once suggested his dreams were unrealistic, the sister whose own struggles became his motivation. For every person who tried to make me smaller, there were 3 who tried to help me grow. And here's what I've learned. The size of your dream isn't the issue. The issue is whose voice you choose to amplify. The critics or the champions. The ones who see your limitations or the ones who see your possibilities. He pauses, looks directly at section C. Mrs. Holloway? Patricia Holloway? Are you here today? The stadium goes deathly quiet. Every head turns, scanning the crowd, trying to identify the woman whose name has just been spoken. In row 12, Patricia Holloway sits frozen, unable to move, unable to hide, unable to do anything but face what is coming. Could you stand up, please? For a long moment, she doesn't move. The people around her are looking at her now, recognition dawning, judgment forming. Finally, slowly, she rises. She's smaller than Marcus remembers, older, more fragile. He lets her stand there for exactly 4 seconds, long enough for everyone to see her, not long enough to be cruel. Thank you. Please sit down. She sits, trembling visibly. Mrs. Holloway, I spent a long time being angry at you. Years, actually. I replayed that moment in your classroom over and over, feeling the same humiliation, the same rage. I imagined this moment, standing on a stage, successful, with you watching. I imagined what I would say, how I would make you feel what I felt. The stadium is so silent that you can hear the breeze moving across the football field. But then something happened. I was in a hospital in Guatemala fitting a prosthetic for a 12-year-old boy who had lost his leg in a construction accident. His mother was crying. The boy was trying not to. And I realized that all that anger I'd been carrying, all that desire for revenge, it was taking up space in my heart that could have been filled with purpose. His voice cracks slightly, the first sign of the emotion beneath his control. So I'm not going to humiliate you today. I'm not going to demand an apology, though you probably owe one. Instead, I'm going to thank you. Gasps from the crowd, confused murmuring. Patricia Holloway looks up, startled. Thank me? Her voice is barely audible, but the stadium acoustics carry it. Thank you, because you taught me something that no supportive mentor ever could have. You taught me what it feels like to be underestimated, to be dismissed, to have someone look at you and see only statistics and stereotypes instead of possibility and potential. You taught me the exact wound that I've spent 9 years learning to heal in others. He turns back to the graduates. Every single one of you is going to face a Mrs. Holloway, maybe already has. Someone who will look at your race, your background, your clothes, your address, and decide they already know your future. Someone who will try to shrink your dreams to match their own limited imagination. And when that happens, not if, when, I want you to remember this moment. He points at himself, at the stage, at the jumbo screen still showing Grace with her purple prosthetic arm. This is what happens when someone's dreams are too big. This is what happens when someone refuses to let small-minded people determine their destiny. Not because I'm special, not because I'm exceptional, but because I had people who believed in me more than I believed in myself, and I had someone who didn't believe in me at all, and I used both to fuel the same fire. The applause begins slowly, then builds. Students are standing, parents are crying, teachers are looking at each other with expressions that mix shame and inspiration. In section C, row 12, Patricia Holloway sits with her head bowed, tears streaming down her face. Marcus waits for the applause to subside. He has one more thing to say. Class of 2024, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look around at the people sitting next to you. Some of them are going to change the world. Some of them are going to save lives. Some of them are going to create art that makes people weep, solve problems that have defeated generations, love with a ferocity that transforms everyone they touch. And some of you, let's be honest, some of you aren't going to do any of that. Some of you are going to have ordinary lives, and that's okay too, because ordinary lives contain extraordinary moments every single day. He smiles for the first time since taking the stage. But here's my challenge. Don't you dare let anyone else decide which category you fall into. Don't let the Mrs. Holloways of the world shrink your possibilities. And for God's sake, don't become a Mrs. Holloway yourself. Don't look at someone different from you and assume you know their ceiling. Because I promise you, I absolutely promise you, you don't. He steps back from the microphone. The applause is thunderous now, a physical force that rolls across the stadium in waves. Graduates are on their feet. Parents are hugging each other. The principal is wiping her eyes. Marcus walks off the stage, and the ceremony continues, but no one is really paying attention anymore. They're all still vibrating with what they've just witnessed. Not revenge, not humiliation, but something more powerful. Transformation. After the ceremony, after the caps have been thrown and the photographs taken, and the crowd's begun to disperse, Marcus finds Patricia Holloway standing alone near the stadium exit. She's been waiting for him, he realizes, probably since he walked off stage. She looks smaller up close, older. The fierce authority she wielded in that 8th grade classroom has been replaced by something fragile and uncertain. Mr. Thompson, she begins, then stops, starts again. Marcus, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. But I do. Her voice is shaking. I've spent 3 years wondering why I can't let go of certain moments from my career, certain students, certain things I said that wake me up at 3 a.m. And I never thought I would have to face. She can't finish. The tears are flowing again. Marcus stands in silence, watching her struggle. Part of him, the 13-year-old who walked out of her classroom with his heart cracked but not broken, wants to walk away. Let her sit with this forever. Let the wound he inflicted match the wound she inflicted. But that's not who he is anymore. That's not who his father raised him to be. Mrs. Holloway, can I tell you something? She nods, unable to speak. I meant what I said up there. I'm not angry anymore. I was, for a long time, but anger is heavy and I had too much other weight to carry. He pauses. My sister needed me. My mother needed me. The kids I work with now, they need me. I couldn't afford to waste energy on resentment. I'm so sorry. The words come out in a whisper. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm sorry. Marcus looks at her for a long moment. Do you know what would have helped me more than an apology? If you had just asked questions. If instead of assuming you knew what I was capable of, you had gotten curious about who I actually was. My father was an engineer. My sister was fighting cancer. I was building computers from spare parts in my bedroom. All you had to do was ask. I know now. Then that's what I hope you take from this. The next time you're tempted to judge someone by their background, their appearance, where they come from, just ask questions instead. Get curious. Assume there's more to the story than you can see. He extends his hand. She takes it, gripping with both of hers like a lifeline. "Thank you," she whispers, "for not destroying me up there. You could have." "I could have, but destruction isn't what I build. I build things that help people stand up straight." That goes for prosthetics and speeches. He releases her hand, turns to go, then pauses. "Mrs. Holloway, one more thing." She looks up. "That boy in your classroom, the one you told to dream smaller, he kept his promise to his father. He kept every single promise. And there are kids all over the world right now, Uganda, Guatemala, Cambodia, right here in Ohio, who are standing taller because that boy refused to shrink." He walks away, leaving her alone with the weight of everything she almost destroyed and everything she helped create without meaning to. 3 months later, Marcus is back in Uganda, fitting Grace with an upgraded prosthetic, version 2.0 she calls it, with improved grip strength and a new design she helped develop herself. They're in a small clinic that runs on solar power and determination, surrounded by children who are waiting for their own appointments, their own chance at mobility and dignity. His phone buzzes with a text from Sarah Chen. She sent him a link to a video that's been making rounds on social media, footage of a retired teacher named Patricia Holloway speaking at an educators' conference about unconscious bias and the danger of low expectations. In the video, she tells the story of a student she failed, a student who grew up to change the world despite her efforts to shrink him. She doesn't name him, she doesn't need to. Marcus watches the video twice, smiles, sets down his phone. "What's funny?" Grace asks in Luganda, watching his expression. "Nothing's funny," he replies in the same language, "just someone learning something important." What did they learn? Marcus considers the question, considers his father's voice telling him to dream big, considers his mother's hands ironing his suit, considers his sister's prosthetic leg that works properly now, finally, after years of pain and waiting, considers the 13-year-old boy who walked out of a classroom with his dignity intact and his dreams unchanged. They learned that the size of someone's dream has nothing to do with the size of their starting place, and that people can change even when you've given up on them. Grace nods seriously, processing this. Then, "Can we add glitter to version 3.0? Marcus laughs, a real laugh, full and free. "We can add whatever you want." Because that's the point, isn't it? That's always been the point. Not revenge, not vindication, not making small people feel smaller, just building things that help children stand up straight. Dreams included. Have you ever had someone tell you your dreams were too big? Have you ever looked at another person and assumed you knew their limitations? We all carry both of these experiences, the wound and the weapon, the victim and the perpetrator. The question isn't whether we've made mistakes. The question is what we do next. Marcus Thompson didn't become who he is because Patricia Holloway tried to shrink him. He became who he is because he refused to let her succeed, because he had people who believed in him, because his father made him promise to dream big enough to scare people. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. How many Marcus Thompsons didn't have those people? How many brilliant kids with world-changing potential heard the same words from their own Mrs. Holloways and didn't have a librarian bringing hot chocolate, didn't have a father who made them promise, didn't have the stubborn resilience to keep dreaming despite everything? We'll never know their names. They're the silent statistics, the could-have-beens, the ones whose dreams got shrunk down to fit someone else's limited imagination. And every single time we look at a child and assume we know what they're capable of based on their background, their appearance, their address, we risk adding another name to that list. So here's my challenge to you, the same challenge Marcus gave to the class of 2024. Don't let anyone shrink your dreams, and don't you dare shrink anyone else's. The world needs more people building prosthetics for children in Uganda, more people turning childhood pain into adult purpose, more people refusing to let small-minded critics determine their destiny. The world needs more Mrs. Pattersons and Dr. Mills, more champions, more believers. The world needs you to decide which one you're going to be. Share this story, not for the algorithm, not for engagement. Share it because somewhere out there, there's a kid sitting in a classroom right now, hearing the same words Marcus heard, trying to decide whether to believe them. Let them know what happens when your dreams are too big. Let them know what's possible.